Hello there guys, it's Joey and I am super happy that my Wild Unknown Animal Spirit Oracle deck came today. Hooray! I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for this to finally sort itself out. It would have been a week ago, but we had customs and that is something I am going to touch on before we get into the cards themselves and looking at the cards, the images, the card stock and all that good stuff. So first and foremost, the Animal Spirit Oracle deck is by the Wild Unknown, and I personally purchased just the cards, and to the UK that was a $40 price tag with a $20 shipping fee. So it was totaled about £40 or $60, thereabouts, £45. And I had a feeling that I would get charged customs because that happened to me when I purchased the Wild Unknown Tarot, although it was actually purchased for me, it was a Christmas present. So if you are going to purchase the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck direct from that store and you live in the UK, it's worth bearing in mind that you likely will get spiked for customs, which in my case was another £13. So when it all adds up, unfortunately this isn't a cheap exercise when you live in the UK, because all things considered, we're looking at £60 to get the deck, get it shipped and pay the customs. Now, I had pre-planned for this, and when they announced it, I saved up for a month beforehand, because the Wild Unknown is my absolute favourite tarot deck. It's the one that I go back to, it's the one that I get the most out of. I love the imagery, I love the colours, I love so much about the Wild Unknown that it just trumps everything else in my personal tarot oracles collection. And tarot reading for me is a very highly personalised thing. It's something I only really do for me. Oracle I do share a bit more out in the world, out on the Facebook page. So I have acquired a few oracle decks here and there as a result. But when this one came up, I was like, oh my god, it's the oracle deck to end all oracle decks. I was like, ugh! I can't wait, and I was excited for a month. I put a reminder on my phone to go off on the date that it came out, and I saved up, and I was super excited. And I don't get hyped like that for many oracle decks or anything like that, so it is an expensive exercise, unfortunately, in the UK. Be aware of all of those things. I'm assuming at some point you'll be able to buy them in physical stores in the UK, I hope. But it's one of those strange things that you think they'd be more readily available than they are, and for some reason they're just not. So, all that aside, that was the price and the shipping problem. Of course, the other thing that happens is when customs hold on to it, they take days to send you a card. I then went online and paid straight away, and then it's another 4 days before they deign to turn up with it. So you're getting at least a week and a half of extra shipping time because of the nonsense with customs as well. So there's that. So onto the cards themselves. They arrived in a little box, and they had black tissue paper as well as some silver tissue paper, which I was super excited about. I was like, oh, it kind of matches, look. And that's silly, but it's like one of those little things that's, you know, cute when they do things like that. I've actually got my Wild Unknown tarot deck out to show you some of the differences and to talk about some of the animal imagery. So it comes in this box. This is the lid, and this is the base. And firstly, look how gorgeous this box is. So you've got the symbols for the alchemy symbols for earth, air, fire, water and spirit along the base here. And just like the Wild Unknown, you have a ribbon that comes out here. I wonder if I've still got my Wild Unknown tarot box. I should do, one moment. Right, sorry about that. I thought I did. I tend to keep the Wild Unknown in a wrap because I use them so much, but I do have the box because it's such an amazing box. Now, let's see. So this is the Wild Unknown box, just for people who are worried about storage and things. So you can see that it has the black ribbon in there that tucks in, and you tuck your cards in if you want to keep a certain place in, and it has the card back, and on the back it has some of the cards. So that's the Wild Unknown. The same is true for the Animal Spirit deck. Some of the cards and a little bit of the blurb, and again the grey silver ribbon and the imagery of those symbols this time rather than the card back. And the card back is actually all over the rest of the box, this sort of dragon scale grey silver with the dragon eye on the front. So if you do have both, they do make a nice little companion set if that's the sort of thing that perhaps interests you or bothers you or anything of that. The box is firm and you can definitely keep your cards in there if you desire. Let's just put the Wild Unknown away, or the box anyway. And this is beautiful on the inside here. 2 feet, 4 feet, scales or hide, may our minds stay open and our wings span wide. I read that and I was like, oh, that's so good. It's so good. I love everything about the Wild Unknown brand, if you like. I think it's amazing. I love it. I can't express how much I love these cards. So the cards come with a little booklet. There's some very, very basic spreads here. Now, Truth in Story got her review of these out super, super fast, and she had this amazing idea, this amazing notion that it would have been nice if they'd actually included the idea of the animal spirit reading, because that's what the cards are. So to have presented you with a new idea for how to do that spread might have been nice. So I really liked her idea on that. And then you have the elements up here, and then each of the meanings of the cards in very, very brief. So we'll zoom in on fire ant, aggression, following orders. Now, if you purchase the booklet, I believe the booklet has a lot more in depth of the meanings, but I've told you what the price point was already, being in the UK. It was already £60 and another $20 on top of that, which might have even increased the customs. It's just not something that I can afford. And I was thinking, originally the Wild Unknown only came with this little tiny booklet that wasn't much use to anybody, and it's been much more of a journey with the Wild Unknown. You like seeking out meaning, writing your own theories and things. So that's been part of the journey for me with the Wild Unknown, so I did not purchase the informational booklet, and that's why. And so the animal card that I got a poster of, which is actually on the inside of your meanings, is Hawk. I knew I was getting Hawk. I had this feeling, this gut feeling that Hawk was going to show up. I've had Hawk come in and out of my life a few times in recent years. I had one in the garden in the old place. It killed and ate a pigeon, basically, and I was, there's a hawk in the garden, there's a hawk in the garden. I was like blown away that there was one right up close. I tried to take a picture and he flew off just as I got the camera out. And hawk to me represents kind of the masculine side of the path that I walk, and the Celtic mythology surrounding the hawk is beautiful, and I'm not going to go into all of that, but this is the one that I got and I'm super happy about it. I might have liked Crow a little bit more, but I had a feeling Hawk was going to show up, and given that we're going towards midsummer and all the masculine energies, it makes sense. Right, so I do not own the Wild Unknown 2nd edition, and if you don't know about the Wild Unknown Tarot 2nd edition, they re-released the cards. I think the back was slightly different, some of the images were slightly different, and the cardstock was different. Now, I didn't order those because I knew that it would bother me that the cards were different from the ones that I fell in love with. And I'm not sure about the cardstock. I know Tarot and Story prefers it, but I don't think I do. I'm going to show you the 2 cards back to back, and I don't know whether or not you're going to be able to see the difference in cardstock on video or not. I will attempt a very light bending. I don't want to damage my cards at all, so I will attempt that. But you can see the back of the new Animal Spirit deck is the dragon-like scales, the skin, and it almost does the same sort of optical illusion. I think are they about the same size? It's very close. Yeah, I think they are pretty much the same size. We're spoiling one of the cards now, but if you can see, the original Wild Unknown are quite firm, and these have more give. So I personally prefer the slightly firmer card from the Wild Unknown Tarot, but to be honest with you, it's just personal preference. I know some people prefer the slightly thinner stock because it's easier to shuffle. I've never had that problem. So once again, the Kim Kranz of the Wild Unknown is slightly up the side. There is a slight white border on each of the cards. You'll see that in a minute when we get into imagery. I think we'll go reverse order. Seeing as we've already seen Bear, then we can start there, you see. Bear is absolutely stunning. I wonder if we can move just... No, that's going to make the light worse. Oh, honestly. That's going to make it worse. How about if we go... Is it going to be too dark? I don't know. I think that might work better. I think we can still see alright. Yeah, apologies about the light. I'm still trying to work out where is best to video in the new place. Right, so Bear is one of the Earth cards, and we're actually going backwards through. So we're going to start with Earth and go through. Just to give you a quick reading from the little booklet of this, Waking Up, Beginning Anew. I've actually pulled out some of the cards from the Wild Unknown which have animals on them that I think is going to make an interesting parallel, and talk a little bit about the animal choices. I was a little bit worried about Earth because Earth as an element tends to get a bit of a raw deal, the less interesting animals or things like that. And I was pleasantly, as always, surprised by the actual cards that were picked for Earth by the Wild Unknown. They feel right for the most part. A lot of these cards are for the Earth though. The backgrounds don't feel particularly earthy to me. I mean, you have like the solar in the background, and then you kind of have this blue. I suppose it could be a cave. You could be looking at the back of a cave with sunlight somehow coming in from the top, but the colour scheme for a lot of the Earth cards doesn't strike me as very earthy. Not that I mind, I think it strikes an interesting balance, but there you go. Earthworm. So I have to confess, when I saw Earthworm, the only thing that was going through my head was Earthworm Jim. Now, you may or may not have heard of Earthworm Jim. Earthworm Jim is a computer game as well as a comedic cartoon series. I think we were introduced to Earthworm Jim first as kids through the computer games, and I'm pretty sure that the cartoon came afterwards, I think. But it kind of ruins my perception of earthworms because I have this really daft, stupid image of earthworms in my head. People aren't going to like earthworms, I don't think, but they are truly an earth elemental. They are in the earth, they're named for the earth, they help cleanse the earth, break down the earth, if you like, and I think it was a very bold choice. I'm also loving how she's kind of made the earthworm into its own little portal. You have all of the sort of the mirrored colours that reminds me very much of the, is it the Three of Pentacles? No, Three of Wands from the Wild Unknown. Let me see if I can quickly, there it is. See how similar the sort of creation of a portal, obviously there's a lot of difference. Even the lines in the background mirror one another, and there is definitely some mirroring between the two decks, which is really, really interesting when you work already with one or the other. So they kind of complement each other like that, and you will notice these intricacies if you do work with the cards, and you'll think, oh, oh, and it kind of harkens back to that, and then you can kind of glean a little bit more meaning as you're going through, and I love that. I love that. But then I already love the Wild Unknown, so you may or may not like that depending on your point of view. The moose? No, the mouse. The moose, a who's, a bit less who's diddly. So it's a nighttime mouse with little bolts of stars, and it's kind of this is one of these cards that's detail orientated, nitpicky, nervous. Well, I can see nervous in this card because mouse energy has kind of a very sort of shaky, very timid energy to it. I can see that. This is one of these cards that, like the Wild Unknown, when you first look at it, you're like, oh goodness, blank, and it's going to take a little while to really connect to the image. But I like that about these cards, that they challenge you. So then we have a rabbit. Rabbit is definitely alert and aware of danger. You've got the kind of colour line going through. It's definitely aware of dangers around it. Running fast. There's definitely the colours lend itself to the energy of the card. And the card at the bottom just has the animal on each. The name of the animal card rather than alluding to anything else, which I like, which is very much like the Major Arcana from the original. So again, here you have the Major Arcana. Raccoon. I like raccoon. Now there's a distinct lack of colour for raccoon, but there's very much this fading into the shadows, this murkiness, this nocturnal blending, and I really like that that's there. And the next one is amazing. The next one is a fox. Oh, I was so worried. I was like, the fox has to be good. The fox has to be good, and it is. I love it. I love the fox card. He's proud. He's cunning. He's kind of happy looking. He looks like he knows more than is going on. And I wanted to pull the only fox that was in the Wild Unknown because I was kind of disappointed with the Wild Unknown fox image. It's not a bad image. It's this image, but I think you know, on first glance this could easily be a cat, whereas this is definitely a fox. So I prefer this one a great deal. So that's a big win for me. And it's in the earth section, and I'm an earth sign, so I was like, oh, that's awesome. The snake, snickety snick. So Snake's devouring his own tail, Ouroboros, and within the centre of Snake is the flower of life, geometric symbolic artwork, if you like, indicating the interconnectedness of all things. And then you have a nice hue of colours, all within the same sort of colour palette here, which is interesting. You don't have like all the portal colours. You go from a blue to a purple to a white to a green. It's all within that same sort of shading, if you like, which gives it a kind of earth-like feel on the inside, because it's mainly blues and greens, bits of white, bits of purple. It's wonderful. It's very much the world and of the world, and oh, I love it. I love this card. Buffalo. Now buffalo, oh my goodness, look at buffalo. Buffalo is not an animal which I particularly have ever connected with, ever in my life. And there's many reasons for this. One, I'm not in America. I'm not going to see a buffalo very likely. It's a very small possibility of me seeing a buffalo, and they're certainly not naturally buffalo. I mean, we've got, you know, certain hairy cows, but not buffalo. That's an American thing. Although I did notice a news story today that a little white buffalo has been born yesterday, and I thought that was really interesting, seeing as my cards came today, and buffalo was one of the cards that spoke to me. When looking at the original imagery, I was like, I feel really quite drawn to this buffalo, and it's kind of odd because I've never been drawn to buffalo energy ever. And it has the lightning in the background. We talked about storm energy and lightning energy within Pietasite last week. Synchronicity is wonderful. The lamb. Now the lamb has the very overt wild unknown, which is, you know, this image, all in colour in the background. It's a very interesting image. The lamb looks very lost, very sad. There is a lamb in the wild unknown, but I didn't actually pick that one out particularly, because they never strike me as an animal that I particularly want in my deck, particularly. Does that sound awful? I'm not against them. I just feel like there's a little bit less of a wildness to lambs than some of the other animals. I'm not sure, excuse me, why that would be, but there you go. And then we have an elk. Oh, the elk is wonderful. I love the solar eclipse going on here, and that being radiated around his horns. Oh, it's just antlers, really, antlers rather than horns. It's wonderful. And I love deer. Look at deer. Oh, now this is the perfect colour palette for Earth. I think it's gorgeous. I think it just radiates Earth, and I love the deer here. Okie dokie. Then we have wolf. Now wolf, I adore wolf energy. I'm a big wolf fan. I'm not sure why this card looks like it's on fire, particularly seeing as it's in the earth side of things. I much rather would have had the background be reminiscent of like deep woodlands, dark greens and browns, or like hills and crags, so like greens and blues. I'm not entirely sure why this card looks very much like there's a bushfire going on in the background. It doesn't sit quite right with me, and I love wolf, and I don't mind the image, although I would possibly rather would have had a sideways wolf howling. That's where I would have chosen to go if it had been my choice personally. I mean, that's just personal preference, isn't it? But I think if that was the choice, that's what I would have gone for. Spider is fantastic with all the colours of the web. Just love, absolutely love. And then horse. Horse is beautiful. You've got this beautiful braiding. You've got a moon symbol, and I naturally squeaked because the chariot is one of my favourite images from the tarot deck, and so It's the mirror. And this horse strikes me as feminine and this horse strikes me as masculine, and I just feel like they are the natural counterpart to one another. That this is the white horse of the chariot and this is the black horse. There's a lot of deep symbolism in there, and so Mary L. Tarot talks about the white horse and the black horse, and I can't remember for the life of me I'm not going to, I'll be here all day. But basically they are the two sides of the self. This is like the companion to the chariot card, which I really, really love. Like, it's just like a natural extension. Normally with the chariot you see a black and a white horse, and there was the bold choice in the Wild Unknown to have just one horse, and then here's the other one. I kind of love that, and that's it for earth cards. And we move on to water. I do like the separation of the animals into the elements. I think it helps give it a nice structure, a nice balance. It means that they've chosen a certain amount of animals for each. How many is it for each? Is it all the same number? I think it's all the same number. 14 for each. Right, so we're moving on to water. We have Crocodile. I'm a big fan of crocodiles. As a kid, I found them really fascinating. Did you know that crocodiles are highly social, family-orientated creatures? They share their food and all sorts. They're really like highly social animals. It's kind of really interesting. But of course, being reptilian, humans tend to fear him a little bit. But I love it. I love the card. I love the fact that she's chosen to focus on a particular aspect of the crocodile without having its a whole face in shot. We've got what looks like rain up the top here. So you've got the light effect making rain and then the water effect going the other way, which is fantastic. The colour focus is the eye. And did you know that crocodiles have 3 eyelids, one that goes up, one that goes down, and one for underwater, so they can see, that goes sideways across the eye, so they can see underwater. I told you I like crocodiles as a kid. I remember these fun facts from my childhood. But I love it. I love the eye is the focus. The little bit of a tidbit of information there about crocodiles having unusual eyelids, so they have an unusual way of seeing. So there you go. I like this card. Plus the focus on the crocodile smile. Right, the next card is Stingray. Stingray! Stingray! Really, really, really old jokes. Okay, so, or references I suppose. I really, really like the chakra colours going up the spine of the Stingray. That's the only colour on the card. It's almost subtle, it's almost easy to miss, but then you take a deeper look, you have the typical Wild Unknown background with the lines that just sort of pulls focus into the centre, and that's where the focus is on the Stingray as well, at the centre, looking at the chakras down the spine and looking at that meaning and what that means. So I love that. Fish. Fish is awesome. It's an interesting choice to just go for fish rather than a particular kind of fish. I guess I can understand that. I think, I don't know, would I have gone for, if it was me, would I have gone for a particular kind of fish? I think I probably would have gone koi if it was me. You know, the Japanese ornamental garden fish, for lack of a better descriptor, just because of the added layers of symbolism that a koi would bring to it. But again, and then you could have had, you know, the watercolour that they're so famous for in just on the odd scales and things. That would have been my choice, but I still really, really love this card. I love the idea of the moon being in the centre of the lake, perhaps a reflection down into the lake, and then that illumination allows us to see the fish. I like that a lot. Starfish. This is wonderful. It's, oh, Oh, it's wonderful. It just allows the starfish, which is naturally ornate and naturally beautiful to look at, to just shine. And it's in one of the very few animals that's in full colour, and the background is just the plain black lines that is stereotypical for the wild unknown. It's sort of the signature, and it just pops, and it's just like, it just invites you to take a really good look at the intricacies of what's actually going on, and it almost looks like clockwork, like that sort of metallic steampunk-esque clockwork when you look at it. And it really lends itself to getting quite excited about something, which gives you very little information, but it's just these little key image sort of indicators as to what you're looking at, and it's just little explosions of ideas and imagination that help you connect to these cards. Octopus is wonderful. You've got sort of the watercolour portal-esque, all the colours around the head, and then the many, many tentacles. Just, oh, and the way the tentacles all move on this card, it almost jumps right out at you. It's just perfect. Again, it's like it's raining, but then the rain continues down here. So it's very much as if you are looking into water. It's like someone has cut through water and you are looking into the water as if you were looking straight at an octopus. It's wonderful. Beaver is possibly my least favourite of the water cards. I like the forest imagery around the back, giving a transition card between elements. I wonder if that's why the fox looks more fiery. Is one of these cards a little bit more transitional between the two elements? Well, then buffalo, it could be transitional as well because it has the storm energy. Oh, maybe. I don't know if any of the other animals really in water struck me as being transitional. We shall see, we're not quite done yet. Oyster, absolutely beautiful image. Again, the focus is on the oyster with little dots of colour all around. It's one of those animals that I have never looked at in particular. I'm not a particular fan of oysters. I know a little bit about eating oysters as an aphrodisiac style thing, but that's about it. And I'm not really keen on them as edibles, so... Turtle. Turtle is another animal actually which is fully coloured, and it's lovely. It almost has an Aboriginal feel to the colour palette, which I'm wondering if that is either deliberate or it's just the way that my mind automatically goes. Aboriginally speaking, the wolf and the turtle are two totem animals that spring to mind from the Witch Child book. So they automatically sort of are lodged in my subconscious as being quite Aboriginal creatures and to do with tribes and clans. Yeah, I have frog. Frog is beautiful. Get another animal all the way coloured, and then literally you have the rain just falling down. And it's coloured in up top, which is unusual. I guess it has to be to stand out because that top is very black, but I think the rest of the images are largely... Oh, there is some... Now, oh, here we go. Now I've started noticing things. Right, look at the difference between the symbols. There is some interplay with the way that the symbols are presented. Oh, I love that. This is what I mean about Wild Unknown. You notice things and you're like, oh! But that's the one that drew my attention to it because it's like a yellow warning sign. And frogs can be quite poisonous. You know, they can be an alertness required, a bit of a warning. So, oh, I love otter. Oh, otter might be my favourite water. Look at that. Almost within its own sort of orb. It gives it a kind of a mystical feel, as if you're looking through a looking glass rather than seeing them in the wild. I love that. That's beautiful. Oh, shark. I know there's some Sharky fans out there who will love Shark. Shark is one of the cards which has an interesting aesthetic because it's almost diffused into the background, because the background's very, very similar. And I've noticed this on one other card as well. I think it was one other. And it struck me as strange to the other one, but worked for Shark, because I was like, well, Shark is kind of at one with its environment. Sharks are like kings of the ocean. They're in charge down there. Talked about that with the shark totem energy when I did that. So for them to have this kind of symbiotic relationship with the card, with the water around them, makes sense. And because they do they're just so at home in that element, and it's almost like they're at one with that element, and that is represented beautifully in this card, which also has light and dark, so it shows the two sides, how we, getting into our subconscious, getting into our fears. And the colour in the card is to do with the mouth and the teeth, and it is blood red, mirroring what we're afraid of, that Sharky's going to eat us. Starkly different is the swan. Is the swan the one I picked out? No. There's a lot of swans in the Wild Unknown Tarot because it's one of the suits, cups more specifically, and I'm just wondering if I can find one. I probably can't now because I should have done this beforehand. There you go. I think it's very similar to one of the images in the thing, but this is like the little daughter. So it's a lovely image. There's a lovely reflection in the water without the waterline being there. So that's beautiful. There is absolutely no defining line there. We're just left to assume that it is supposed to be the reflection or the mirror image. And of course, swan energy is often to do with the way that we look at things, the way things are perceived, what is beautiful, what is not, and it lends itself wonderfully to that exploration of self and how we embrace ourselves. And dolphin's wonderful. Look at dolphin. Dolphin's full of colour, full of joy. The dolphin's full of colour. The card's full of colour. It's just like, hello, I am here. I am upbeat. Look at my smile. It's wonderful. Whale is actually kind of a reflection of it as well. Look at that. Look how they interplay. Whale's a little bit more regal because he's got the kind of like this. Do you know what this reminds me of? You know when you get videos and you can see music? Does that make sense? And they have like waves and lines, and it goes bum bum, and the lines like all shoot out in like that big, like this basically. That's what it looks like, and that kind of speaks to me of the fact that both of these animals have this action, and you kind of have the noises that they make, and the noises seem to be represented in the imagery behind them, because whales are deep and booming, right? And then a whale song is deep and relaxing, and dolphins are a bit more like chattery, like me 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 me. That's a dolphin impression. You're welcome. And that's represented here by like all the colour and all the movement and all the circles. I love that. Oh, these cards. This artwork, seriously. Right, so that's it for water. I believe we're moving on to fire. Is fire next? Yes. So we have fire ants. Fire ant. God, they're annoying ants. I don't mind ants as long as they're outside. If when they get inside, ugh. It's a bold choice actually. Fire ant. Within the fire cards, to have an insect. I suppose it kind of works with the kind of the biting and the ferocity, as well as the working together. They can be quite aggressive. Obviously, I think fire ants are probably the most aggressive of the ants. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. And a lot of the fire animals are quite aggressive, which I guess makes sense. Hyena. I think we all know about hyenas because of Lion King. I actually don't mind hyenas as much as a lot of people do. I find that they kind of naturally flow I think they're canines. They flow within the same sort of feeling as I get with all the other type animals that I think it's canine. I'm not certain though, because again, it's not an animal that I've looked into in depth. But I don't mind hyenas. I like the duality here with the card. You've kind of got a lunar eclipse, half eclipse going on here. Half in the shadow, half in the light, representing the kind of sneaky nature again. So the animal nature is reflected in the nature around the card. I like that a lot. Scorpion. Man, I love some scorpion imagery. It's Penny Dreadful's fault. Who else is watching Penny Dreadful? It's fantastic. I love it. And as a result, I really enjoy scorpion imagery. It's the albinos that you have to watch, apparently, with scorpions. They're the worst. There you go. Penny Dreadful facts for you. I really like this card. I like that its pincers are tipped red. The most, perhaps, is it the most aggressive part of the scorpion, or would you say the tail's the most aggressive? The tail is right there with a great big boom of colour, a great big fiery blast of light right there at the centre. Its PowerPoints, its scary bits are all highlighted in red, warning, danger alert. And he is in the middle of this bright white explosion with all the rest being black. And it's just, it gives presence to this animal, it really does. Lizard is next. Is it interesting how you go from one extreme to another when you're going through these cards in order before you've shuffled them? Now, Lizard here, almost going into the background, almost chameleon-like, but not quite. The scales are in the background, so this I think is possibly one of two cards, I assume Dragon does, that actually has the scales working through, which is on the back. But this is also got it on the front, so it kind of aligns itself to that energy, that sort of almost giving it sort of prominence within the deck, but not quite, because it kind of reflects what the back of the deck is. So it gives a kind of mirror between these particular animals and the choice of why scales would be on the back, which I'm going to leave the individual to decide why that would be. Right, the next card is Truth in Story's least favourite, and it's probably going to be my least favourite as well, and I was kind of disappointed, which is Panther. Now, I was a little bit disappointed by this art image because I freaking adore Panther. And I'm going to show you the Cheetah card again, which is actually the Magician from the Wild Unknown. I've picked a few animals out for crossover. Oh, I forgot to show earlier the similarities between the Eight of Pentacles and the web of the spider, because this has the colours all around the border and the other one actually has the colours within the web, so I forgot to show you that, sorry. But here the Cheetah has a kind of regality, and I think they could have, or she could have presented Panther in a way that was ferocious without it being this image. I'm not sure what it is. I like the eyes. I like the idea. I think it might be partly because we lose an ear here. Presumably it's off image a little. I don't know. There is something just a little off about this particular image. I guess, again, it's personal preference. It's not to say that I don't like it at all. I don't dislike it. I wouldn't be like, no, and throw it out of the deck or anything like that, but I think I prefer the big cats when they have a little bit more of a regality to them, I think, is basically where I'm going with that. Tarantula. Okie dokie. I'm going to have to plug the camera in. One moment. So I guess this video is going to be one long ass video. I thought I had enough time left. I think it was... Oh dear. This is going to be one long ass video, so apologies. But, you know, I'm too excited about these cards to shorten it just for the sake of it. Tarantula, all the colour in the background. The background is again the very linear style, but the tarantula is in black. It draws attention to the danger of the particular animal. But tarantulas don't tend to be actually kind of that dangerous. I think it's more to do with our fear of them, and I think that's represented nicely by the colour being in the card, but not like the scorpion where like the dangerous points are highlighted. It's just how we feel about it. So, Camel. Camel by night. I love that she went by night for this card. When it's a little bit easier for camels to move about a bit, perhaps. And drawing a parallel between the usual imagery that you see with camels. You usually see them in the desert, in the day, hoarding water. But this is at night, when the other side of the camel comes into play, when the temperature plummets and camels need to keep warm. So, I like that. Gazelle. Gazelle is one of my favourites so far in the fire deck. I love how the setting sun in the background looks almost like a crown, like a disc, almost Egyptian or African, perhaps, as like a headdress. And I love that. I love that symbolism working into this card. Head on, straight on, very, very direct, gazing right at us, one might say. Chortle. But I really do like this card. I think it's lovely. It lends itself to a real power. There's a real strength here. I like it. And gazelles you don't normally see in sort of a position of strength. It tends to be more of a dancer imagery or a fleeting and flying imagery. I'm going to actually see what the card actually says. Heightened awareness and vulnerability. See, I don't get vulnerability from this card. This card is staring you down and taking no nonsense. So I disagree with vulnerability. Maybe it's our vulnerability. Maybe we're vulnerable. The gazelle takes no nonsense. Oh, we do have a cheetah. Cheetah. Well, the other one was a leopard. Never mind. I love the movement of the cheetah, and this is a side-on cheetah, and it lends itself to the regality of the big cat. It gives it a stretch. It looks like it's stretching. It looks perfectly like it's ready to pounce or keep on running. It has all that energy, all that swirl, all that portal in the background. That's just madness. It's just movement, and you know how fast cheetahs are, right? Pretty damn fast. So I love it. I love that the back legs are coming through here. So even though we've only got half of the animal in shot, we know that it's running. We can see the motion. We can see the movement. Love, love, love. So here is the Tigger card. I'm not sure about the Tigger card. I'm not sure. I was pleased to see the moon being back because it is the High Priestess card within the Wild Unknown. Now again, I feel like this is a masculine-feminine balance, that this is the feminine and this is the masculine. And taking it as a masculine tiger, I feel a bit better about it. Something I wasn't quite sure of around the jawline. I'm not entirely sure what's going. It's almost humanized a little bit within the face. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just me being weird. But when you look at it as a masculine and a feminine, I think it works beautifully. It's probably because I'm so super fond of the High Priestess card. Again, with the slight facing sideways, the slight tilt. I prefer the tilt with the animals, the big cat cards, because you can see their jawline a little bit better, and I think it flows a little bit better. It's just probably me being weird, but that's just how I feel about it. The aesthetic in the background of the tiger card is a little bit unusual. It has kind of this swirling cloud effect. It almost as if we're nearing dawn and the clouds are sort of highlighting the coming sun, and that would make sense if you consider it to be a parallel card to the very lunar based High Priestess. So I do like how these cards interplay. I think it's wonderful. Cobra. I'm loving Cobra as well. He is definitely a card who gives no... He is definitely in your face and gives no craps. You're in trouble if you've got a Cobra coming at you like that. Hello, I'm going to eat your face. I'm going to poison you. So yeah. So basically you've got the sort of diagonal colour here, the colour of the animal surrounding the animal. There's a definite sort of warlike feel to this card. The arrowhead almost of the coming together of the lines in the background gives it a definite war feel. He's definitely poised to attack. You know, you can almost hear him looking at this card. So then Zebra. Zebra's perhaps a slightly odd choice for the fire card. Eccentric, creative and visionary. So the zebra has a third eye, which is the portal colours, which I've referred to already. So that's the third eye, and that's looking into the mystical, the unknown, being a visionary, basically, like the card said. And obviously zebras do live in Africa, so I can understand it. Perhaps zebra is one of those crossover, because zebra feels a bit more earthy to me, and I've said some of these animals do seem to cross over a little bit, and perhaps that's intentional, so they do feed into the other energies and the other elements. So it just reminds you that the animals aren't obviously just assigned to one element, but rather embody more than one, and probably all of them. They probably embody all energies no matter what, because you have to breathe, and you have to find a way without air if you're a water creature, or getting air from the water, and then living in water, and then other animals require water for sustenance and living on the earth, and so on and so forth. So perhaps it's to do with that. Lion. Now look at lion. Look at lion on the side, so you can see his jawline, and he is magnificent. Now lion is also the strength card, and obviously these are both male lions because they've both got manes, and a strength card is one of the face-on lines that I really face-on big cats that I really like, so I'm breaking my own rule with that and saying that I really like this one. But look at the regality. Look at he is not taking nonsense. He's disdainful of nonsense. He is king, and he doesn't need to prove anything. He's just yes, 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 little human, yes. So then elephant is also fire. Again, another crossover animal, which is a strange choice. I get that they live in Africa, and in hot climates, but when you think of animals, elephants, don't you think of them being around water or muddy water? I do. Maybe it's just me. There's a fire in his trunk, flame in his trunk. He's kind of guarding it, and he has a bindi. So it's referencing the Hindu religion and Ganesh. So there is that line of reasoning to do with godly powers, and powers of fire being of the godly realm, and that imagery, which is interesting. I think I like that little bit of a difference. Again, it's one of the animals that I don't particularly connect to naturally and have issue with connecting to them. But it did speak to me about the bindi in the Hindu religion, so we will. Was that more than 14 in there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. No, it was 14. It's just me being odd. Right, so we're moving on to air. Look, it's a moth. It's a moth. It's a moth. It's a moth, moth, moth. I'm gonna irritate you. Right, so a lot of people have been getting a lot of moth imagery lately, and moth for me is connected with the death element and bathe. And this is actually a lunar moth, which is an interesting choice. The lunar moth is also in the inner hue deck. Is the inner hue deck to hand? Where have I left the inner hue deck? It might be by my computer because I use it so regularly. Nope, I've got it. So we're going to compare it to the inner hue deck if I can find the Lunar Moth. So it's actually kind of interesting because the inner hue deck is sometimes referred to by some people as the oracle sister to the Wild Unknown, probably irritating everybody involved. There is a fair depth of difference, although given that they have now both done oracle decks, there are going to be similarities, and you can make argument for inner hue being inspired by the Wild Unknown, which is possibly why I really connected with the inner hue oracle deck. But they're not purely animals in inner hue. There is a range, there's some more abstract, but I am... Oh, it's not inner hue. It's me other one. It's me. It's it. Oh, I think it's the other one. Right, forgive me, I'm talking nonsense at you. It's the other ones. It's the wooden tarot. Right, we'll go through the wooden tarot and try and find it. One of the reasons I actually purchased the wooden tarot, so just ignore me and my nonsense about Inner Hue's oracle deck, was the Moth. There she is. The Lunar Moth. The Magician. So, I've completely and utterly gone on a complete random tangent and talked nonsense at you now, so I've completely put myself off. But I really love moth imagery. I connect it with Babe. I think you can connect it with the air element quite well. I think it connects with light, perhaps more than perhaps air, and maybe the two are inextricably bound, perhaps. That's an interesting theory, and thinking about how they interplay, and lunar energy within air energy. I think we'll move on now I've been silly. Another flying animal, insect really, butterfly. This is beautiful. This is a bold choice because butterfly does not have its wings open. Butterfly is in the Wild Unknown. I don't know where. I shall skip through and see if I can find it. And I believe it's in more than one card in the Wild Unknown. Yeah, there's one, but that's not the one I was thinking of. And to not have the wings open is a bold choice because it alludes to the fact that they're flying without actually showing that they're flying. Now, is that a butterfly or is that a moth there? That might be a moth there. Right, so this is the butterfly. I think this one is a moth. So I think they do... I might be wrong, it might be a butterfly. Is the blue one a butterfly and that one's a moth? Ugh. Maybe that is. No, this must be a butterfly because of the antennae. I'm pretty sure you have like furry little antennae when you're a moth. So this has, you know, the image of the open wing, of the full breadth of the beauty of the wing, of the poetry and the colour. And then having the butterfly this way is so bold as choice because it's actually like it's stationary, and that's neat. I like it when they're not afraid to take risks and not go with the obvious, because obviously a card with the wings on is showing the underside of the wings, which are not necessarily the most beautiful or ornate part, but play a functional role, and I like that. I like that a lot. Bat. Now bat is also in the Wild Unknown. I'm not going through the Wild Unknown again. But this bat's in flight. I like this a great deal. I think there was a choice of different bats and she wasn't sure which one to take and she chose this one, and I heartily agree. I love this bat colour. I love the colour in the wings. I love the uplift that it gives. I love the lunar right in the centre. It's lovely. Firefly. You can't take the sky from me. Nerdy references. Right, Firefly is beautiful. This burst of colour. And then Firefly is monochrome. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful parallel there. I like it. I like it a lot. It's kind of an external, the external light given off is the big focus. I love. Look at B. Look at B. Oh, that's a beautiful use of colour. Absolutely stunning. Gorgeous. Hummingbird is also absolutely gorgeous. I think the air is getting some of the favoritism in this deck. Goodness. The colour rainbow around the halo. Hummingbird is absolutely perfect. It's just perfection. It's just mwah. It's just gorgeous. And then in stark contrast, vulture. I like this a lot though, because it gives the sort of ominous feel of vultures, and that's something that we do. That's something that humans put on animals. Like they decide because they look near death. They wait for death and pick the bones, and we get freaked out by that death association. So the card looks ominous. It's filling an expectation, but then poking at us to realise that it is and why we feel that way. Almost a shadow creature, a creature of shadows. It's wonderful. Hello, baby. Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my crow time gal. That's, yeah, okay. Right, so I freaking love Crow. I'm kind of sad almost that I didn't get this on the big picture, but then the picture's in black and white, so maybe it wouldn't have had the same effect. Crow here is on a portal orb. He's sat there on it, he's got his claws on it, he's sat there, he's perfectly content, knowing all the mysteries are just at his feet. And that sums up Crow's in a nutshell as far as I'm concerned. I love Crow. I think it's wonderful. An owl is barn owl, which is my absolute favourite owl. I love barn owls. I love them. Again, these are in the wild unknown. I'm not going to search through. But there is a similarity in colour theme. And the colour theme here is very subtle in the background. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Again, a little bit like it's raining in the background. So it kind of crosses over again a little bit. Dragonfly. On this downward water portal, again crossing over elements like I've already discussed, and I do like that in this deck. Then we have Nightingale on top of the world by the looks of it, or at least an orb, and singing. See, I really wish they'd done open Howling Wolf. They would have mirrored here lovely. I'm a Mardy git, don't mind me. Right, and then Peacock. Peacock is wonderful. Just a focus on the head and the hairdress and the bold colours. Wonderful. And then Hawk, which is the card that I received in the larger form, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's kind of flying against the sun, which is how I interpret it, very much associated with solar energy, and then the bursts and rays of colour around it, very grand. We're looking up, which is sort of natural, that we would see the grand hunter in his habitat looking down upon us, eyeing us, soaring above us. It's wonderful. And to that effect as well is Eagle. The airs might take it. The airs are amazing in this deck. Again, a solar image, again very predatory, going into for the kill perhaps, and the swoop and the movement of the wings here, and the way the feet are just hooking round. Oh, love. Oh, and then we're into spirit. Okay, so the spirit animals, I think they tend to lend themselves to a more mythological slant, which is a bold and interesting choice, and some people might argue against it. I, however, have zero problems with going into mythological creatures, and I think it makes sense because it's like an astral journey to these creatures. So the first one is Phoenix. Now, I love phoenixes, and this isn't my favourite image of a phoenix. I kind of wish that the wings weren't in it. if it was just this burning ember, or then maybe like the outline of wings, but not all coloured in, so the colour was all the way through. That would have been my preference. Although I do love the fact that the circle is holographic for Spirit, and it's holographic on all of them. I don't know how well it's going to show. Let's have a look if I can get in a bit. No, it's probably it's got a shimmer to it. So sea serpent. Wow, just what's the Nordic tale of the sea serpent that ends the world? Is that what this is about? I can't remember his name. Oh, right, yeah. Okay, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this. The Midgard serpent, known as Jormungand or Jörmungandr, is a sea serpent. When he lets go, the world will end. And his arch enemy is the god Thor. The encounter between Thor and the serpent has been one of the most popular motifs in Nordic art. The final battle, the last meeting between the serpent and Thor, is predicted to occur at Ragnarok, when Jormungandr will come out of the ocean and poison the sky. Thor will kill him and will then walk 9 paces before falling dead, having been poisoned by the serpent's venom. So that's what this card made me think of, that storyline. And then kind of you've got like what looks like an eye at the centre, an alarmed eye of the world perhaps, eye of the future, eye of what could be. I think it ties into the Nordic mythos quite nicely. So here's Dragon, which is the card that was chosen for both the scale effect all over the box and all over the back of the cards, and the image of the dragon's eye is on the front. And actually, it's kind of a reversal. I kind of like it, the colour in the eye, but I don't mind it this way as well. We get both, technically speaking. So the colour in the scaling lends itself to all sorts of different types of dragon. It doesn't box itself in, it gives it a kaleidoscope effect. The eye, again, is monochrome. I might have liked to have seen the eye in the colour and the background in the grey, mirroring the crocodile. But I still really like this card. So then we have the golden egg. The golden egg is beautiful. More geometric art on the inside. Potential of everything. The golden egg. The goose that laid the golden egg. The golden egg being a thing of myth and potential and wishes and untold riches. And here the nest going on around the outside is just wonderful as a background. It's absolutely perfect, like looking down onto a nest, just beautiful. And the black in the centre of the spirit, it gives a kind of balance and gives a kind of question to what's going on with the actual alchemy symbols, and gives a little bit more of a hint about what's going on in the card. And then you have the black egg. So let's see what it says about the black egg. Oh, black egg is associated with the 5th chakra, speaking from an authentic voice, the truth. So the spirit animals, of which there are 7, are associated with each of the chakras, interestingly enough, harkening back to the stingray card. So that's really interesting. There you go, that's why there's only so many of the spirit. Unicorn. Right, unicorn is the other one that fades into the background like the shark, like I was saying earlier. presumably because it's a creature of spirit, but I thought that was an odd choice. I love the sideways angle. I really like that. I love the horn. I love the moon with all the colour in the background and kind of the rain. Again, crossing over elements a little bit. Although it looks a bit sad. A little bit. He looks a little bit sad, maybe. I'm not sure why. He or she. Maybe a little bit more raised head. I love this card though, so. And then the cosmic egg with the snake around the egg, and the egg is the portal colours again. It's just beautiful. So that is the animal spirit deck reveal, and much waffling. I adore these cards. They are worth the £60 that I had to end up forking out for them because of shipping and customs and waiting time and eyeballing the postman every day for weeks. I love them. I think they're absolutely wonderful. I can't recommend them enough. There are bits and pieces here that aren't quite exactly what I would want, and I think if you had to pick between the two, I would say get the tarot first, although I would argue that you definitely need both, and the parallels between them and how the energy is interplay is really good. So they're meant to be brought together at some point. They're meant to enrich your life in the different ways that Oracle and Tarot do, side by side, and I love them. I love them. Right, that's enough of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing the Animal Spirit Oracle deck. I know what I'm doing with the rest of the day. Evening. I've got to craft for the rest of the day, but I know what I'm doing with this evening. Having a good feel and play with these cards. They're beautiful. Absolutely love them. Right, that's it for this video, and many blessings.